Time management essentially means we are exercising control, in as much as we have it, on specific activities in our life to increase effectiveness and efficiency, also known as productivity. The thing is, we don't actually manage the time, we manage how we're using the time. And that means managing ourselves. It's about making choices, establishing efficient habits, and deciding what matters to us. A quick aside, if you listen to episode 1 of the Positively Living podcast, you'll see how this connects to your number 1 productivity tool. When you get down to it, time management is more self-management. You're listening to the Positively Living podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Zawrotny, founder of Positively Productive Systems and a coach certified in time and stress management, helping clients make space for what matters most in their lives. Join me each episode and we'll talk about decluttering, stress management, habits, personalized productivity, gratitude, and so much more. I understand the overwhelm of life because I'm a wife, mom to kids and cats, and a former caregiver. I'm here to help you choose what's right for you so you can do less, live more, and breathe easier. Sound good? Let's get to it. Today, it's about time. And you see where my mind goes? I immediately want to say, wait, what's about time? The podcast. Today, we're talking about time. How we manage it, spend it, invest it, waste it, perceive it, and make the most of it. In this episode, I'm going to help you assess where you are with your time management, share something about it that might surprise you, and help you take your own time management to task. Did you hear the air quotes around that last word? That's because it's an acronym that I'll explain later in the podcast. If I said, there's not enough time in the day, would you agree? Have you said those words? I'm betting you have, or at the very least, someone you know has. I'm sure I have, and it's only my dedication to time management that has kept me from repeating the phrase over and over again. It's a universal lament of those not getting to the things they want, need, or hope to do. Is that something you struggle with? Do you have goals and dreams, or let's face it, even the most basic tasks that you want to complete but you don't? Let's do a quick self-assessment exercise. If you're driving or doing something else where writing isn't an option, listen for now and answer in your mind for a general idea of where you are with your time management. Then, when you get a chance, replay this episode and mark down your answers for reference. One word of caution before we begin. This is a self-assessment, so this is based on your perception of how you manage your time. We are notoriously hard on ourselves, so keep in mind that this is for guidance, not a grade. Okay, ready? The way it's scored is 2 points for the answer always, 1 for sometimes, and 0 for never. We have 12 questions. Number 1, I do things in order of priority. 2 points for always, 1 point for sometimes, 0 for never. Question 2. I accomplish what needs to be done during the day. Always, sometimes, never. 3. I am satisfied with my use of time. Always, sometimes, never. Number 4. I tackle difficult or unpleasant tasks without procrastinating. Always, sometimes, never. Number 5. I make sufficient time for planning. Always, sometimes, never. Number 6. I prepare a daily or weekly to-do list. Always, sometimes, never. Number 7. I'm able to meet deadlines without rushing. Always, sometimes, never. Number 8. I prevent interruptions from distracting me. Always, sometimes, never. Number 9. I plan time to relax and take care of myself. Always, sometimes, never. Number 10. I periodically review how I spend my time. Always, sometimes, never. Number 11. I avoid wasteful activities. Always, sometimes never. And number 12, I have a clear idea of what I want to accomplish. Always, sometimes, never. Now let's tally up your points. Again, 2 for always, 1 for sometimes, and 0 for never. If you scored between 19 to 24 points, excellent. Maybe you could give me some pointers. Keep listening, and you may identify what you're doing already, or maybe discover something new. If you scored between 12 to 18 points, you're doing fine. You're managing time, though maybe inconsistently. You'll want to keep learning and identifying ways to improve, so keep listening. And if you scored between 0 to 11, it looks like you're struggling. Keep listening and choose one thing today to try to turn things around. Time management essentially means we are exercising control, in as much as we have it, on specific activities in our life to increase effectiveness and efficiency, also known as productivity. The thing is, we don't actually manage the time. We manage how we're using the time. And that means managing ourselves. It's about making choices, establishing efficient habits, and deciding what matters to us. A quick aside, if you listen to episode 1 of the Positively Living podcast, you'll see how this connects to your number 1 productivity tool. When you get down to it, time management is more self-management. In his book, 15 Secrets Successful People Know About Time Management, Kevin Kruse sums this up, saying, actually, highly successful people don't think about time much at all. Instead, they think about values, priorities, and consistent habits. Our struggles with time management can vary, which you may have noticed when you took the quiz earlier. We can struggle to manage our time due to distractions and interruptions. We can use too much time on things we aren't able to properly accommodate, or approach projects inefficiently or half-heartedly. These challenges relate to different aspects of how we choose to and are able to use our time, such as priorities, planning, and energy. Whatever the case, the bottom line is we have a finite amount of time to work through our demands and dreams. So how do we make the most of it? There are likely as many time management tips as there are minutes in the day. That's 1,440 for those of you playing at home. But my mission is to be the antidote to your stress. So I've come up with a simple, easy-to-remember way to course correct when you feel as though you aren't spending your time properly. You can take your time management to task with these 4 steps: track, assess, schedule, and keep. Step 1, T for track. Your first step is to figure out where your time is going in the first place. Tracking how you spend time now gives you a baseline to assess and make choices. Get ready to pay close attention to the clock and note in detail what you do, when, and for how long. Add details about your excitement and energy because this will help you. You can track your time by taking notes, using timer apps, or entering tasks in your calendar. You can use any kind of timer and make notes as you go. An easy way to start doing this is using technology. Choose the tool you use most often, such as your smartphone or laptop. You can use apps like Toggle for timing projects and Rescue Time if you want to set it and forget it and let it track what you're doing on the computer. You just use the computer as you normally would and it will track what you're doing. I'll link to an article with a list in the show notes. If you have an iPhone or iPad, you can also use Screen Time Reports. That's under Settings, General Screen Time. It's important to track what you're doing for at least a week, if not longer. And I realize this may sound tedious, but I promise you, like any other journaling and tracking, this works. And with so many apps to help, it can be fairly straightforward. Plus, a bonus byproduct of doing this is that it creates awareness as you're doing it, and it will actually help you be more mindful with your time almost immediately. Step 2, A for assess. Now that you've tracked where your time has gone, let's figure out what it means and make some choices. You'll review your time spent and search for clues. First, let's review what's taking your time. What are the obvious time vacuums? Cough, cough, social media? How about the less obvious? Were there any that surprised you, like cooking meals or helping friends at the drop of a hat? How many disruptions do you have each day? Consider the source and how you can eliminate or at least reduce them. What other distractions do you have? It's not only our interests, but often our environment that can steal our focus. Think about where you work and what you're trying to accomplish. Is your environment conducive to that? Second, do you know what you need to do each day, each week? Being very clear on goals and deadlines gives you the basis to create boundaries. Know what you need to do, let go of what you don't. Third, are you clear on what you need? Are there to-dos that require more steps than you anticipated? You may find a task taking longer than you expected for a variety of reasons. Do you have what you need to do the task? Were you aware of what it would take to do it? 4, does your tracking show that you're doing too much for the time you have? I'm guessing that's very likely for most of us. Having clear data can show you and others when you are trying to schedule unrealistically and where you need help. 5, do you see times when you are most energized? Can you spot trends in time of day or in relation to activities, spaces, and purpose that make you seriously productive? Make note of that. Step 3, S, is for schedule. Now that you've assessed where you can take back time and where you want your time to go, this is your chance to be proactive and specific about how you'll do that. Take your to-do list and schedule everything. It may sound counterintuitive and controlling, but it's actually the key to your freedom. When you have it in your calendar, you have it in a safe place to access when needed. You don't have to worry about forgetting and rush to do it right away, which is another time management challenge. And by scheduling, it allows you to build in effective productivity techniques such as buffer time for when you run late and things go wrong, as they inevitably will, and to schedule breaks to keep your energy up. Step 4 is K for keep. Now that you've taken inventory, reviewed what belongs and what doesn't, and scheduled your time, here are some things you need to keep. Keep to your schedule. That means protecting it from others and from yourself sometimes. Refer to it, set alarms, and maintain it. Keep track of how it's working. Are you improving? Are new issues coming up? It's okay if they do. Keep your distance from the things that challenge you most. Remove those game apps that are time vacuums. Schedule selective social media time if you need to. Keep adjusting as needed. As our demands and resources change, our time management approach needs to change too. Keep celebrating your progress. Even if you haven't gotten to where you want to be, you are further along than you realize. Even listening to this podcast is a step in the right direction and to be celebrated. Well done. Would you like help taking your time management to task? As a gift to my podcast listeners, I'm offering a limited number of free time management audits. Click the link in the show notes to schedule your session. We'll review your week and your goals and identify simple shifts to make the most of your time. It is not enough to be busy. The question is, what are we busy about? Henry David Thoreau. Thank you for joining me on the Positively Living podcast. Your time is precious, and I'm honored you chose to spend it with me. If you'd like more information on today's show, you can find a link to the show notes on positivelyproductive.com/podcast. If you found value in this show, please click subscribe, and even better, give a quick review on iTunes. It supports me and will help others find the show. If you'd like more positive content, come join me on social media. Positively Productive on Facebook, and positively_Lisa on Instagram. Get ready for kids, cats, and all my quirky humor over there. I look forward to having you join me next episode. Until then, keep it positive and keep making space for what matters most.